In January 2010, workmen were working in the basement of the Yorkshire Museum and they discovered a Roman skeleton. The skeleton was in a trench, so it had been buried, but not very carefully. There was some Roman pottery and some animal bone as well. But the rest of his life is a mystery. Who was this person? Where did they come from?
My name is Marlin Holst and I'm a human bone specialist, so I analyse human skeletons from archaeological sites. The skeleton dated to the Roman period, to the early part of that period, to the 1st or 2nd century AD. It was a male skeleton, and we can tell that from the shape of the skull and also from the shape of the hips. But in this case we had to rely on the skull because the hips aren't actually present. The individual was around middle-aged, so 36 to 45 years old, and we could tell that from the teeth. We are looking at the wear on the chewing surfaces of the teeth. The grit in the flour in his diet was grinding down his teeth to such a degree that we think he was around that age. His appearance suggests that he was a very tall individual for the time period, and he was also quite well built. He was about 4 inches taller than the average man, and not only that, but his muscles, especially on the arms, were very strongly built as well. When somebody uses their muscles a lot and they are quite muscular, their muscles shape the bones, and this individual has got very shapely bones, suggesting that he was quite a robustly built, muscular individual.
This is quite often a trait seen in people who trained as soldiers or even gladiators. There's a whole other host of skeletons that come from Roman York that are also thought to be gladiators. They also have this overdevelopment of the arm, which is a sign that they've been in combat an awful lot. One of these skeletons also has bite marks. Now, if that's not a huge clue as to somebody being a gladiator, we don't know what is.
Most of the time when we analyse human skeletons, we can't tell what they died of. But in this case, we can tell what this person died of, and that's very exciting and very unusual. This individual had suffered from several blade injuries that were probably inflicted by a sword, and there's no healing on these injuries, suggesting that they caused death or contributed to this individual's death. There were a couple of injuries to his back, and they affected his rib and also his lower spine. This individual also sustained 2 injuries to the lower jaw. One injury went into the side of the jaw and cut the right part of the jaw almost into 2 halves. And then this individual also incurred several injuries to the top of the skull, again with a sword from different angles. Some are probably from above. Perhaps the individual had fallen onto their knees at this point. The injuries then came from an attacker from above.
So is this skeleton from the Yorkshire Museum a Roman gladiator? We have other objects that come from Roman York that hint at the fact that there must have been gladiatorial combat going on here. There must have been an amphitheatre. These objects have images of gladiators on them. They're bowls, they're oil lamps, they're trophies, things that you might go and buy today. If you went to a concert, you might buy a t-shirt as a souvenir. These are the sort of things that Roman people might buy if they went to a gladiatorial match. It's really unusual that a huge Roman city that was really on the map, like York, has no sign of an amphitheatre. It's one of the typical things that you get in a Roman town. So although the identity of this person is a mystery, an even bigger mystery from York is, where is this amphitheatre? Did this city have one? If not, why not? And if so, where could it possibly be?